Joe Rogan slammed by fans for defending Bud Light over Dylan Mulvaney sponsorship. Now, the interesting thing about this is that the way that Joe Rogan releases his podcast is that they're basically kind of late. So he might like film a podcast on like Monday, but maybe not release it till like that Wednesday or Friday, which can work out in some cases. I mean, he's obviously has a massive audience, but the problem with that is that he ends up getting engaged with something that is so volatile without realizing what's actually going on because he's so late to it. So let's read this. Joe Rogan's rabid fan base soured on the Spotify star after he took a sip of Bud Light during his podcast and said the controversy surrounding Dylan Mulvaney's partnership was much ado about nothing. Wonder how much Bud paid him for that, one Twitter user commented. Another Twitter user accused Rogan of sitting on the fence while he plays it safe. Because cultural degradation matters, but Joe has never cared about that, another Twitter user wrote. Well, Joe, I give an F because they are shoving this crap down our throats, a Twitter user commented. And Rogan dismissed the controversy over the Bud Light ad campaign featuring Mulvaney, a social media influencer who amassed millions of followers during the pandemic as the individual chronoed their transition from male to female online. The comments took many by surprise, given that he has come under fire from liberals who view some of his past remarks as transphobic. Rogan, a fierce critic of cancel culture, angered LGBTQ activists in 2020 when he hosted author Abigail Shrier, who wrote a book called Irreversible Damage: The Transgender Craze Seducing Our Daughters. The podcaster, who has also ignited protests for his comments about the COVID vaccine and pandemic era lockdowns, has also hosted controversial figures such as Jordan Peterson and others who have been critical of the trans culture or whatever. So, actually, you know what? Actually, no, I'm not going to play it because they're going to do like a copyright thing. So here's my take, Rogan said during Tuesday's episode of the Joe Rogan Experience. What they're doing is just spreading the brand to an extra group of people. Why, if something is good, do you give it an F? Who's got it? Rogan said. He suggested there is too much outrage over the Mulvaney ad campaign since she is a goofy person. The thing is about this Dylan Mulvaney thing is like it's just someone who wants a lot of attention, and you've given someone a lot of attention, and you're trying to reach someone from another audience, Rogan said. I saw it and was like, what the F is this? Was my initial reaction. It's like, this is silly. The thing is, like, I think Joe Rogan doesn't really understand why potentially so many people are outraged by it. Because in my mind, I think this is just a purely dumb marketing move that seems to have backfired pretty heavily due to like their loss in like stock value. Like they lost over $5 billion worth of their value, which is a pretty big deal, right? Especially for the higher ups, because the higher ups tend to get a lot of their big paydays based off the stock performance of that year, right? So them losing $5 billion in company value basically is a big deal for the higher ups, and they're now apparently trying to make like excuses like, oh, we didn't approve of this sponsorship, kind of stuff, right? The thing is, it just didn't make sense for them to do this type of marketing because they were trying to target such a small percentage of people that could technically legally buy this drink. Like, you put a lot of effort into this, probably paid the Dylan Mulvaney person a good amount of money, got all this hype, all this drama from this whole situation, only to end up losing basically over $5 billion. Like, for such a small percentage of the potential consumers of your product? Like, it seems kind of crazy, right? Like, to put it into perspective, I think there's what, 300 and something million people in the United States. How many of those people are actually trans? Maybe less than 1%? And you're trying to cater to that small percentage of people when the main buyer of your product is basically frat people or people in sororities, people who want to get drunk by buying something cheap, right? That they could just basically chug down and chug a bunch of it down. Like, like the marketing didn't really fit the product basically at all. Like, it just didn't make any sense at all. So to me, I just thought it was a super dumb marketing move. But not only that, now you have so much bad press around your product, which is something you don't want to have, and you basically alienated like 90% of your consumer base. Like, it's just crazy to me. So Rogan added, but it's also your typical Bud Light fan is NASCAR or sports. Like, that's most of the people are drinking Bud Light. He continued, how is that the big deal? I think it's goofy because I think that person's Mulvaney goofy, Rogan said. But if you want to hire a goofy person, who gives an S? It's kind of hilarious when somebody says 365 days of womanhood. It's also just a can with that person's face on it. That's all that was. It wasn't like stuff they were selling. Now, here's another thing too, right? The Dylan Mulvaney person is also someone who's very big on TikTok. And the majority of people who probably ends up watching this person on TikTok is a younger audience who can't even legally buy this alcohol. So you're pushing multiple things to a younger audience and trying to make it kind of like normalized, right? Which is not a good thing. Like, you don't want to be like shoving, oh yeah, just drink alcohol, like right in your face, just constantly. Cheers to 365 days of being a woman, I guess. Rogan said, but it's kind of funny. It doesn't make me mad. It just makes me like, what? Yeah, see, like, that's my perspective. I was just so confused about this whole marketing scheme. Like, it just didn't really make sense to me. So the ad campaign has prompted calls for a boycott from high-profile celebrities such as country music legend Travis Tritt, as well as southern rock rap crooner Kid Rock, who famously shot cans of Bud Light using an assault rifle. Crooner. I don't think I've ever heard that word before. Bud Light's parent company, St. Louis-based Anheuser-Busch, has stood behind the ad campaign. But I think they changed that opinion, and I guess the CEOs or whatever basically basically said that they're not really backing it. Let's see. Oh, right here. So let's check this out. So top Bud Light execs were blindsided by Dylan Mulvaney ad campaign, according to a report. So Bud Light's controversial marketing deal with transgender social media influencer Dylan Mulvaney has ignited speculation that top executives at corporate parent Anheuser-Busch may have been blindsided by the tie-up when it was revealed. No one at a senior level was aware this was happening, an unnamed source told the Daily Wire, a conservative-leaning news site. Marketing executives at Bud's parent, Anheuser-Busch InBev, have allegedly paused additional campaigns so they can implement a more robust vetting process for future projects, according to the report. The accuracy of the report, which comes despite the fact that Bud Light has publicly stood behind its partnership with Mulvaney, couldn't immediately be confirmed. The post has sought comment from Anheuser-Busch. Some low-level marketing staffer who helps manage the hundreds of influencer engagements they do must have thought it was no big deal according to an unnamed source cited by the Daily Wire. Obviously, it was, and it's a shame because they have a well earned reputation for just being America's beer, not a political company. Yeah, see, like, that's the thing, right? Like, it wouldn't have even been that crazy of a deal if they basically say, like, hey, be a sponsor for our beer. But they specifically basically made it about pretty much a trans issue, which just alienated a lot of their customer base. Because again, as a company, like, for example, let's say that as a company, your customer base is like 90% guys who drive trucks, specifically, right? Do you think it's necessarily smart to then, out of nowhere, try to appeal to girls who drive Volkswagen Beetles? Like, you like targeted a very specific audience when your main audience was already this basically specific audience. Like, it's just such a weird thing to do. The source reportedly added it was a mistake, and the Daily Wire also cited a tweet from conservative influencer Rogan O'Hanley, who claimed to have spoken to sources who said that C-suite executives inside the company were angered over the marketing deal with Mulvaney. Alyssa Heinerscheid, the vice president of marketing, told the Make Yourself at Home podcast last week that she wanted to transform Bud Light's brand. I'm a businesswoman. I had a really clear job to do when I took over Bud Light, and it was this brand is in decline. It's been in a decline for a really long time, and if we do not attract young drinkers to come and drink this brand, there will be no future for Bud Light, Heinerscheid said. She also condemned the company's previous branding, saying, "We had this hangover. I mean, Bud Light had been kind of a brand of fratty, kind of out of touch humor, and it is really important that we had another approach." Heinerscheid's comments in partnership with Mulvaney have garnered backlash, with the company remaining quiet while many are protesting Anheuser-Busch's products. Anheuser-Busch works with hundreds of influencers across our brands as one of many ways to authentically connect with audiences across various demographics and passion points. A spokesperson for the company told Fox News, "From time to time, we produce unique commemorative cans for fans and for brand influencers like Dylan Mulvaney. This commemorative can was a gift to celebrate a personal milestone and is not for sale to the general public. The only problem is because they did this to celebrate a personal milestones, they basically backed that milestone in a way." So Mulvaney, a TikTok star with more than 10 million followers, posted a video promoting the brand's March Madness contest, offering customers a chance to win $15,000. And in the Instagram footage, the content creator is dressed like Audrey Hepburn's character in Breakfast at Tiffany's as they crack open a Bud Light can and takes a sip. "This month, I celebrated my 365 days of womanhood, and Bud Light sent me possibly the best gift ever, a can with my face on it," Mulvaney said in the video, noting her year-end milestone of transitioning. Yeah, let's see some of these comments on this one. Adam's Apple, okay. "It's impossible that the higher-ups did not know about this. I agree. The budget alone for creating special cans must have cost a fortune, never mind the cost of the media promotion. So nobody approved it? If this is true, and management is asleep at the switch, then I suggest InBev immediately hire the best auditing firm they can get and begin looking at the books with a fine-tooth comb. There may be a lot of money going who knows where." Well, that one might be true, where there might be a lot of money going who knows where. The only problem is they definitely did approve of this. And the thing is, it wouldn't have even been a big deal for them to have just done like some sort of influencer thing with Dylan Mulvaney and then like use like, hey, you know, March Madness month, whatever, you could have a chance to win that like the $15,000, etc., etc. Here's my special code. Come in, you know, join in on this, right? The problem is they did this brand deal in a way that directly alienated their main customer base. Let's see. You can't do any of this without a legal review. Campaign was approved by top executives soon to be jobless. This person says, I'm not stupid. I didn't throw away perfectly good buds, but I had my last one last night. About 20 years of buying them and I'm done. I'm going to try local craft stuff and failing that another big brand, I suppose. So a lot of good craft lagers out there, but where 30 Bud Lights are 25 or so, 12 craft lagers are about 20. She is transforming the brand all right into bankruptcy. Maybe when she loses this job, she can run Smith and Wesson. Yeah, see, like that VP of marketing, I feel like it's just like again, I still don't really understand why they even did this. Now, technically, if her only metric for like success is purely about media attention, she succeeded in that. If it was to actually like get a more increasing younger fan base, they probably failed at that. A $5 billion mistake, and she's not fired for cause. She's hooked up with someone. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? Hmm. Hopefully, the smart one shorted the stock before the ad came out. I mean, you probably would have made pretty good money if you did that. I mean, you know what? If you did actually know that this ad was coming out beforehand and you did short the company stock, you definitely would have made a good amount of money. Like, that's actually pretty crazy. Now, also, what's kind of like weird about this whole thing is this one, right? So, the VP of marketing that was behind this whole thing that basically made Bud Light lose a lot of value was also like a hardcore partier. So she was pictured blowing up condoms as a balloon, enjoying parties at Harvard's ISIS club while attending Harvard University, drinking. Yeah, just having fun. Drunk, drunk, drunk. Crazy. Last night I had a Miller Lite for the first time, first mini. I'll be enjoying searching the beer world for my new non-AB product. It was a loyal Budweiser drinker. Well, I was a loyal Budweiser drinker for 45 years. That was a lot of Bud, but I drink the swill no more. I've worked in marketing for over 20 years, and this is a classic case of skewed research by activist firms and agencies pushing brands to do exactly the opposite of what the core customer wants. Sadly, with today's cancer ESG and pressure by the alphabet mafia, they will ignore this and still double down. The only way to change them is to stop buying their products. The brands doing the best are the ones that don't take positions on controversial issues. The irony is the alphabet crowd really thinks men dressed as women is not controversial at all. But yeah, see, the main thing about this is like This is literally opposite of what the core customer wants. Like, say that your customer says for years, like, hey, we want to eat apples. And then out of nowhere, you're like, hey, how about this cucumber instead? I don't know. Just kind of funny. If you want to learn how to get out of debt, go to 40inbox.com. Stay tuned for more news/finance commentary. I just thought this was like such a bad marketing/financial decision, which they could have actually done this in a better way, realistically.